Hello, everyone. My name is Behrokh Khoshnevis, and I'm talking about a new automated construction system to address one of the most serious problems in the world. Well, by now, the pyramid of Maslow is familiar to you. The previous speaker referred to it. Maslow, a renowned American psychologist, established the pyramid of needs, maintaining that at the base of this pyramid are the two essentials of food and shelter. And unless people have these essentials, they will not elevate themselves to higher levels of human aspiration. So shelter is the focus of my talk. At the dawn of the 21st century, unfortunately, this is the condition of shelter for nearly 1 billion people on our planet. These slums are the breeding grounds for disease, crime, lack of education, and overpopulation. Naturally, governments are aware of the problem and they are after solutions. The problem is that construction, the way that it is being done today, is expensive. And it is problematic to use it at large scale in a cost-efficient manner. Some of the problems is that construction is pretty slow. It's because it is manual. It's really the only human endeavor that is still done manually. Look at what you use, your shoes, your clothes, your home appliances, your car. We make everything automatically these days. The only thing we build by hand are these buildings. Most hazardous job is the nature of construction. Every year, many people get seriously injured in construction sites. A lot of them die. It is the most dangerous job. It is worse than mining and agriculture. It is wasteful and causes a lot of emission. There is a lot of trims and materials that sit unused. You notice everywhere there is construction, there is usually a dumpster with a lot of waste being put into it. And interestingly, about 40% of all materials that are used in the world are used for construction. Therefore, you can imagine the magnitude of the waste that construction generates on this planet and the impact on the environment. It is corruption prone because it involves a lot of different trades, the management of which is difficult, and it is costly and almost always over budget. Anybody who has built a house knows the problem with the construction process. So the solution is nothing other than automation. So what we are proposing is a system that is a large-scale version of 3D printing. It is a version of CAD/CAM, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, where the design made on a computer is submitted to the machine, and the machine automatically builds the part, in this case, the building, without any human interference. The logistics of construction is much simpler here. The bill of material is much simpler. It is very safe because people are not in the workspace to get injured. And it is extremely fast. We are talking about a technology that can build custom designed homes on site entirely by the machine in one day. So the result will be neighborhoods like this instead of those slums, built at a fraction of a cost, at a fraction of time, far more safely, and with beautiful architectural features. The houses that can be built with this technology actually will not look like that. I just took this picture from the internet. Every house looks the same. But with these kinds of technologies, because you only have to change the computer program, every house can be very different. Well, this animation shows the process. Cementitious material, such as concrete, gypsum, or other form of construction material, can be delivered through a nozzle that is moved in the 3D space by means of a robotic system. This robot is very light, and it can be carried to the site by a handful of people and could be set up in less than 30 minutes. Then all you have to do is to bring the architectural design and bring the material. And then press a button, and the building will be built layer by layer. So that is the concept. Now, 3D printing is a relatively new manufacturing method. We have started using it since 30 years ago. But in building construction, layer by layer fabrication has been practiced for several thousand years. Bricklaying is a very common method of building construction. It's actually layer fabrication, the same way we do it in 3D printing. So it makes perfect sense to use the 3D printing concept in construction because it's already tried, but in a manual way. So I did not want to make this too complicated for my students, this animation. Therefore, I didn't put curve features in there. But you can use your imagination. Know that you can use all kinds of architectural features here. You don't have to use rectilinear walls. Well, once you have that robotic infrastructure there, a lot of other activities can be automated as well, including reinforcement. Here, instead of having continuous steel bars, we have segmented steel bars that are assembled while the building is being built. So here you have a two-dimensional mesh of steel inside the wall. You can do automated plumbing. Again, after so many layers, you can insert plumbing modules. In this case, it is copper modules with pre-soldered joints that are fused at the time of construction. You can even build the electrical network by using polymeric blocks that have got conduits for electrical and communication lines. This is the real process. This particular machine is building hollow concrete walls. This concrete is pretty strong. It uses fiber as means of reinforcement. So fiber is blended into the concrete. You can see the speed of fabrication. In this case, we are building a straight wall. But again, all forms of walls, as you see in the background, a curved wall has been built. All kinds of walls are possible. So this is a typical wall built very rapidly using the system. This is one of the machines. As you see, it's pretty slim and pretty light to carry. There are many different forms of using the machine. Here we have a multi-nozzle system for larger buildings, so several nozzles work together for like apartment complexes, hospitals, schools. Here we can have a machine that can climb the building as it builds it, therefore you can build high-rises. And of course, you can use in situ material like Adobe material and build in remote locations using very inexpensive material without needing to carry a lot of material to the site. So I propose this technology as a way to build also on other planets, like on the moon and on Mars. So our current project from NASA is using the technology for lunar construction. We have proposed the building of lunar bases, the landing pad for landers, blast walls, protection walls from radiation, and hangars for landers and other equipment. For lunar application, we take the lunar material and using the sun's energy, we melt the material and extrude it. We do not use water because water is hard to get on the moon. So these are some of the example structures that we've built. This is a model of lunar fuel vessel. So the competitive landscape for this technology is shown in this slide. As far as the cost of construction is concerned, contour crafting is only more expensive than emergency housing, like tents and mobile homes. But it is cheaper than prefab, manufactured, prefab, modular, and definitely cheaper than conventional construction. Regarding the speed of construction, contour crafting is only slower than some emergency construction, emergency shelter construction. It is even faster than prefab. As I told you, you can get the entire building done. Of course, depends on the size of the building. For an average detached home, 1 or 2 story, you can definitely get the building in 1 day. Regarding environmental impact, contour crafting uses only 25% of the energy used by the conventional construction method, and it generates only 30% of the emission. It basically eliminates all this driving back and forth over several months or years of building a building by construction workers, supervisors, and so on. The cost of construction is made of financing cost, materials cost, and labor cost. Now, because contour crafting is very fast, you pretty much eliminate financing costs. That's the interest that you have to pay to borrow money to put in the construction. If it takes 1 year to build your home, of course, you have to pay 1 year of interest. If you get your home almost immediately, then, of course, there is no interest involved. Materials, since we don't produce any waste, overall the material expense is going to be lower. And of course, we significantly reduce the labor cost. And that's the major saving here. As a result, we think the buildings built by this technology will be 4 times cheaper with respect to construction cost, 50 times faster to build, and of course, far safer. There are many issues to study with respect to the emergence of a technology like contour crafting. Of course, the economic impact is very significant. The employment impact is, of course, a serious issue. A lot of people ask what is going to happen to the current construction workers. Construction is one of the major employer of workforce. Well, this is really not a new question. When a steam engine was invented, people asked similar kinds of questions. What is going to happen to the carriage drivers? At the beginning of the last century, early 1900, over 60% of Americans were farmers. Today, less than 1.5% of Americans are farmers. Did the world come to an end? Of course not. When there is a technology that makes sense, we have to use it because the side benefits will always overcome the disadvantages. And one other fact that we have to remember with respect to automation is that what can be made by machines is inferior for humans. Humans should not do the kind of jobs that machines can do them. Humans should do things that require their creativity. The social impacts, regulatory impacts, like the inspection process, the permits that the city has to issue, these have to be, of course, taken care of before any construction technology becomes commonplace. And I refer to the environmental impact, and of course, architectural impacts are pretty significant as well. All around the world, architects are very excited about the emergence of such a technology because for the first time, they can exercise their ideas without worrying about the cost of like a complicated curve, which today is either too expensive or impossible to make. So I believe technologies like this will happen, and as a result of them, a lot of good will be done to the world. Homes will be more dignified, neighborhoods will be much more beautiful, cities will really look different. So let's look forward to that time. Thank you.